You know, we've been sitting out here today watching a lot of weather and watching the heat rise, watching fire come over. So I want to talk a little bit today about, first of all, kind of what happened, where we are now, and where we're going. When we were out here early this evening, we were looking at the fire that was coming up, and we could see the flames coming up over the hill. And some people were saying, well, where did that come from? Well, we talked about some of our contingency points. And we talked about how we didn't want the fire to cross over in Queens Canyon. And that's one of the things we've been focusing on for, multiple days now. That fire did spot over Queens Canyon. As it was going there, it kind of took a run up. We talked about the canyon being like this. It took that run up Queens Canyon. When it got to the top of that area, it picked up these winds. These winds started picking up at about 65 miles an hour.
Whoa.
That was not in the plan. As a result of that, that started pushing that down and into the Mountain Shadows community. And that's what you're seeing today. And it greatly saddens me tonight to have to share with you that we have multiple structures that are impacted in the Mountain Shadows community. I can't give you a number right now, and the truth is that I can't even begin to focus on what a number is. What I can focus on is that we know that there are multiple places impacted. We are in that area working. We talked about when it came up over the canyon and coming down, that was our contingency point, and we had firefighters in there staged and ready to deal with that fire as we expected it kind of to back down. But with those 65-mile-an-hour winds blowing on the top, they had to kind of retreat back to Plan B, another contingency point to work on. And that's kind of what happened. As a result of that, we had multiple places of just smoke in the air, and that impacted us. A lot of people have been asking the question, what's going on? Why is this happening to us? As a forester and a firefighter, as multiple of us are, we see these types of fires all the time, but we understand that the community of Colorado Springs hasn't necessarily seen a fire like this before. This is truly historic and unprecedented weather that we're having. We talked about the fact that we haven't received the precipitation that we expected for the last couple of years. We only received 19% of the precipitation that we have been expecting this year, the same for last year. So if you expected 100% last year and 100% this year, it's like 200%, and we only got about 38% of that. Having those kind of drought conditions and extreme weather conditions like we're having with these unprecedented temperatures in the triple digits, all of that plays together and has impacted our ability to fight this fire. We are still engaged. We are still working hard. We have a community of folks out there. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to have Rich come and talk to you about what's going on operationally, and the sheriff. We're going to talk more about kind of what's going on down in the Springs, and then we're going to take questions. Now, folks, what I'm going to ask of you is that because of all that's going on, we all recognize that everybody's on their cell phone, right? And so that makes it hard to get information. This is a place where people are going to get information tonight. So what I would ask and respectfully request is that when we do go to questions, if you could please make sure that the questions that you ask are going to help us get information to the people out there based on, hey, what's going on? How is this impacting me? How should I prepare? If we can keep our questions in that arena, we would really appreciate that. We will be out here at 8 o'clock in the morning, but knowing that there are hundreds of thousands of people looking on right now and looking to you to help us get the most accurate information out, we'd really appreciate your help with that. With that, I'm going to have Rich Harvey come and start talking with us about where we're going operational. Rich?
Hi, good evening. Well, operationally, we're going to remain focused on this fire all through the night and all through the day. We had a very difficult day, as Jerry explained, with the weather and the wind conditions. The fire was able to breach our primary and secondary containment lines, wind aided, and the fuel conditions that we had, and move into Colorado Springs. In response to that, we activated the structure protection forces that we had in the vicinity. We called on cooperators, neighbors, and all the other jurisdictions to send aid and help out. And I'll let Colorado Springs Fire Chief talk to some of the stuff that they were able to provide. We were also able to reallocate some assets. because as the wind blows, the downwind side had a little bit less of an impact. We shuffled the existing resources where we could to provide as many people actively engaged on this. We also got in some extra resources that we had on order for exactly these kind of things. We had 3 strike teams of engines come in. That's a strike team is 5 engines, and we threw them into the mix. We moved 3 Type 1 hot shot crews over out of one of our divisions and brought them down in there, and they're going to be out there all night. We're continuing to bring in aerial resources to fight this fire. We have had 2 Type 1 heavy helicopters flying on it. We're bringing in 2 more and trying to snag a 3rd one to come in for a total of 5 that we can get up there flying on this tomorrow in close air support. We are looking at where the fire is in terms of where it's moved to. We have an infrared flight tonight that'll help us look through the smoke and get accurate perimeters for the fire on which we can base our activities for tomorrow morning and help us throughout the night. That flight should occur about 2,300 hours, and we'll have a better estimate on acreage at that time for you. So we are going to continue to plan as to where we got to be out in front of this thing, where we have opportunities to be successful, and we're really going to focus operationally on safety, both of the public and of the firefighters, and try to put our personnel in a position where they can do the most good to effectively fight this fire and get it into containment status. So that